And I think the EU, like I said initially, the direction of the discussion seems to be heading towards the fact that we need to, as much as possible, move away from system, or like you put it, process, into the quality of our leaders. And like I said earlier, the genesis of the whole thing is actually from the electoral process itself. Because this moral tribe you are talking about, we first and foremost need to reform that particular system that will give to the people what they actually deserve and they desire. And to have that, like I said, the first point is that if you look at it today, there are regulations, and I believe that if you look at all the manifestos, look at the constitution of virtually all the political parties, 91 I think now, of all of them, there's hardly any difference. There's no ideological difference to start with. Now, even in terms of the operations of this system, they are all identical. The truth of the matter is that at the end of the day, what you are looking at for, and I forgot who said, I think Dr. Abbas had said that one, that we should start looking at the pedigree of candidates, the competence of candidates, as opposed to which of the platform that is being paraded. And I believe that by the time you start having that one, you are able to change the system. If we all agree, like has been the trend or the pattern in Africa as a whole today, that we seem to be gravitating towards democracy. Not all crazy about democracy to start with. Like I said earlier, and I've given instances of elsewhere where there are people who are happier and they still do not have what we consider to be democracy. Even here, I think it was Bishop Cooker that said it, not so much in simple language, that even what we have today could not truly be described as democracy. And like some of us have always said, we are just in a civil rule as opposed to democracy. So to have that moral tribe, certainly you need the leaders. One of it is what we are doing here today, for example now. All of us are a specific tribe, but we are all feel concerned. And I can see when the profile of each one of the people here were read, it's not about where you come from. It's actually what is your concern, what has been your pedigree, your antecedent, in terms of the struggle for the enthronement of true democracy. And I believe that this is the way to go. If we all wake up and say, this is the direction we want to go, and that we all interrogate the issues that are setting us back. And like Prof said, the issue of even federalism is another thing completely. But first, how do we get credible, good leaders? And I think that's the first thing we must continuously agitate. If we have good leaders, I believe that at the end of the day, all others will start falling in place one by one. Like the minister, His Excellency, the President of Liberia equally said that, look, when he got in now, he discovered that so many things over time had been wrong. And he's beginning to change them because he has a vision for the nation. And the same thing will certainly happen if we manage eventually to have somebody who is a good leader with good grasp of the issues that are involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Let me turn quickly to FF. Is democracy making life better in Africa? Nigeria in particular. Okay, take this one. Give him.
Well, I thank you very much. First of all, I would like to apologize for my lateness. We're working in Abuja, about 800 Nigerians who shouldn't be in prison in the Federal Capital Territory. I've been held in custody for about 2-3 years. We're trying to get them out, so I was busy in Abuja this morning. Having said that, let me confess ab initio that my approach may be a bit different from my colleagues. While I thank my very good friend Pat Utomi for continuing to repose confidence in the elite. And that is why we gather here talking about leadership. We have missed it. Let's be honest. Our problem, we shouldn't waste so much time. You and I have wasted so much time on leadership. We should now go to the followership. You will have good leaders in our country if we develop our people. We can stay here and be wasting our time analyzing what will happen next week or thereabout by simply using our telephone and sending all manners of irresponsible WhatsApp messages. We can deceive ourselves and entertain ourselves. When you look at any of those rallies, nothing to do with presidential debates. Absolutely. When you see some of the rallies, you wonder whether these are people that belong to the same Nigeria that you are talking about in your media, social media. So there is a very dangerous gulf between the people and the elite. They are going to vote next week or thereabout without any consideration to our own ideals and our ideas about having a new country. When you get to that dangerous terrain, we will need to review our strategies and then go to the people to mobilize them, to ideologize them, and motivate them for a new country. You've spoken about some African countries. I'm happy. I don't know. Botswana. If you talk to the leaders of Botswana today, I was talking to one of their former presidents 2 weeks ago. He said, Mr. Falana, Nigerians built our country. I said, how? He said, we have the best legal system in Africa. It was the late Akinola Aguda, who was our first Chief Justice, who laid a solid foundation for our legal system. In Botswana, you can't be talking of a head of the judiciary, the Chief Justice of a country, saying that he's a farmer, that is trading in forex to make money, or a Supreme Court Justice telling you, I sell palm oil and rice. The likes of Oputa, Esho, Bello, and others will be turning in their graves. Was this the Supreme Court that we built? And the elite, the leaders, lawyers, are queuing behind criminals. Honestly speaking, because so that the problem is, my friend here, Patu Tomi, challenging Nigerian lawyers. If we get organized, we can have rule of law. We can have justice for everybody. My colleagues are saying, hey, Pat, do you know the kind of legal system we are operating? When you charge a big man or a big woman, and this was not the practice you and I met, you say somebody has stolen money. The elite leaders are talking about where does he come from? Oh, people are ganging up against him. Not whether he has stolen money or not. Now, oh, people are saying, this CJ, if he were an American, he would have resigned. If our CJ were to be a Japanese, he would have committed suicide. Now, but how did we get to this monumental mess? In 1976, a Nigerian resigned as a head of a government agency. The late Asholari was the chairman of the Public Complaints Commission. He was driving in Ibadan himself, didn't have a driver, no official driver, he was driving. So the police stopped him and asked for his driving license. Instead of saying, don't you know me? I am so person. Say, I'm sorry, I didn't take my driving license when I was leaving because I was rushing to the office. Sorry, sir, we are booking you. The man got to the office and resigned. The late Muritala Mohammed called him, who appointed him, sir, don't you have a license? He said, I have one, but don't you have it at home? I have it. You have 24 hours to produce it, sir. He said, I know, but I have laid a bad example. And I'm not going back to that office. That was Nigeria that many of us grew up to know. Yes, I'm happy. The former head of state is here. A former military head of state, General Yakubu Gowon. He went back to school after ruling the country for 9 years. Some of them were so honest the Jembe ones, the Haruna, they went back to school. We know a lot is missing from the rulership of the country. So we want to go back to school and learn. Others became so arrogant and then pretended to be intellectuals. They talk to all of us, they abuse us, pretenders. Others did not go back to school. You will not find them in any intellectual engagement like this. And that is why we are in this mess. If we therefore want to get out of it, sir, after the 12, let me just conclude. Yes, my friend is talking about restructuring. Beautiful, beautiful. But please, when you talk of devolution of powers, you must talk of responsibilities of power. Between 1999 and now, we have done a number of cases. My friends are here. Banira in particular, I say. We've done a number of cases where powers have been transferred from Abuja to the states. Local government funds used to be the business of Abuja. I'm sure you are all aware when President Obasanjo seized, impounded the funds of Lagos. We went to court, and the court said, thou shalt release the money. Of course, the President Obasanjo disregarded the Supreme Court, which would be very strange to a former head of state here. Even as a military ruler, how can you disagree with the judgment of the court, of the Supreme Court? But that was what happened. We also went there. State government shall conduct local government. It's not the business of the federal government. The Supreme Court upheld. Physical planning used to be the business of Abuja. We won that case. I cannot go on and on. But what have we done with those powers? Seized from Abuja. Now, no state government in Nigeria, including Lagos, conducts credible local government election. No state in Nigeria. It's a one-party affair when it comes to local government. 2, all the state governments in Nigeria, including Lagos, a cosmopolitan state, all have dissolved elected local government and imposed appointed administrators or caretaker committees, which is totally alien to this our rickety constitution. Furthermore, all the funds, there are 3 tiers of government under this constitution. All the state governments have cornered the funds of the local government. That is why you must have a one-party state, so that nobody will question the looting of the treasury of the local government. So please, sir, when you are talking of restructuring, be careful so that you don't transfer more powers to emperors. And that is what is going on in our country. Every state government in Nigeria is more powerful than the president. Quote me. A state governor in Nigeria decides who will be governor, who will be senator, who will be a House of Rep member, who will be in the House of Assembly, who will be a speaker, a governor. The president doesn't have such powers, you know. So when you have that kind of arrangement, and there's what they call security vote, but you can't talk of democracy in Nigeria without attacking the menace, the root cause of evil, security vote. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world. General Gowon will be surprised here that a governor or a head of state takes billions of naira without accounting for it. One young man, a governor, I think he's about 50 now. He was a governor for 8 years in his 40s. His security vote for 8 years was 98 billion naira. So that young man decides now who will be president of our country, who should be governors of anywhere in the country. That is the kind of system we're operating. When I was contesting, I wanted to be a governor of my state in 2003. I didn't know I was taking a risk. No, I'm telling you. So that we can let you know our experience. I was told, and my friend Pat has just experienced that. Please, please. The system is totally opposed for now. Good people. emergence of good governance. The system is totally opposed to it. So, to be a governor, in any of the states now, you will need not less than 5 billion naira. So you must have stolen, or you have a criminal as your sponsor. Secondly, please, you will need a number of young men who would be able-bodied men, not women, thugs, who will be drugged every day to go and attack your political opponents. And when they do that, you will also get a band of lawyers to take them out of trouble if they are arrested enemies. Now, if you are going to operate in that cultural milieu, political milieu, you know we are not ready yet. I therefore would like to submit that for you to have new leaders in Nigeria, you will need new followers. And to do that, yes, but my friend, Dr. Banire, we cannot run a country on the basis of good people. No. What makes them good? You can't talk of the pedigree of individuals. We need ideologically based political parties. In the Second Republic, you will know the dichotomy between UPN, talking about free education, and MPN, talking about housing and the rest of them. Now, nobody talks about anything. In all this arrangement, and those who want to go to the next level and others, please, nobody is talking about the 13.2 million who are roaming the streets. Now, in other parts of the world, the Japanese children, Chinese children, and American children, they are learning computer in the primary school, in their homes. Now, our own kids are on the street. So why will Boko Haram, bandits and armed robbers and kidnappers not get easy recruits from the children that we have abandoned? And that's why we all deceive ourselves. We have our palaces in Lekki and the rest of them. GRA, Ikeja, and the rest of them. Where family lives. No, I live with the people in Ikeja. Now, the point I'm making, please. The point I'm making. We have abandoned the people, the poor. We now deceive ourselves that we are living in our own cocoon of poverty. Poverty of idea. I don't mean wealth. Yeah. So we must begin, sir, to build the people, to organize the people. Not the leader. The leaders will be compelled. Once we have educated those who believe it is normal to steal government money, and then you become Babake. Now, if you want to therefore succeed, sir, I would like to suggest that your next program should be held in Ajegule or Mushin so that we can talk to the people. Thank you.
That is, I want to submit. This is the original Ajegule man here. The great Fred Agbayegbe. I think that it is important. I want to state that it's important that CVL has been having programs in Ajegule for a long time. So, but now Emeka is suggesting that the next time we are going to Ajegule, we should bring FF to come and talk with them. Because we need to truly mobilize them. But moving on, I'm going to go quickly back to Professor Bida Kube. And we're going to begin to round up. If there is one thing that we must suggest to make this democracy work for the people, Nigeria has become the poverty capital of the world. we know the statistics. We know that it is projected from the Melinda Gates, Bill Gates Foundation, that between Nigeria and DRC, two enormously endowed countries will have 40% of the poorest people on the planet. What must our democracy do to change those conditions?
Equality, we must be truly equal. The major issue, as I've said, is that as long as the system we have now, a distorted system of governance, you are going to get many, many more. Because the only thing you could not control is procreation. Your system has been such to deny those poor people every other opportunity at education, at good health, at even participation in the political process. And that is the truth of the matter. I think we must go back to 1960 or thereabout, when we were growing up, and when the first time I heard about the word egalitarian society, we must go back to that. Let everybody, I went to school in Lagos, I went to school in the region, I even went to school in Aba. We did not know as much children what is the difference between all of us. Now the first thing that is going on now is this tribal climb, because we have no substance. You see, we have no substance. So I think we must go back to this equality. We must look at democracy as inclusion, and it's not going to be at only the election time that we start mobilizing. I like what Femi said. Let us start to take some of these matters to the people, to the grassroots. And Pat, you are doing wonderfully well, but we must really, emancipate, as it were, our people. Thank you.
Okay, but by the way, talking about the people, aren't those same people the ones that fill all these stadia every day, all these rallies? I never know where did they come from. Where do they come out from?
You should know that.
So, Emeka, quick closing thoughts. What do we do to get out of this mess and make democracy work for most of our people?
One area I think we can never run away from, even after we have mobilized the people, as Femi said, is the process of recruitment of leaders. Sometimes we take it for granted that leaders must come through the normal process through which they're coming now. Femi has done primary, you have done primary. I'm sure that both of you don't even understand the process through which those who won were selected. You don't. The opaqueness of that process must be broken. And you don't break it by abandoning the system. You break it by fighting in the system, which is where Femi lost it. And I see you are beginning to step out of it. No. There may not be many people of your stature, of your character, of your values that are still doing politics now. And they're doing it the wrong way. You have to stay in there and fight. What has happened is that once they treat you badly, you realize immediately that you are not part of these people and you abandon them. And they continue in that opaque manner to recruit the leaders that you're getting. How were the presidential candidates selected? All of them that are running. How were the governorship candidates? Some of them were selected in the middle of the night where nobody was. Some of them were selected in the shrines. Some of them were selected in the occult for you. And then some of them were made to swear, if you're going to do this is how you will be a governor. We have to stay there and break through that process. If you don't, and we have to get many young people to take interest in politics, not as chorus leaders. Let them go and campaign to run for office. You will fail once. George Opongwe started dreaming of being president of Liberia for a very long time. He failed once, he failed twice. Even our president had been trying to be president again, Mark II, according to somebody, Father Kuka. And he failed and failed and failed until we went and dragged him from retirement. He had actually retired. But we have to stay there. You have to begin to challenge those ethos that are running our political system. And we have done a bit in the media, but I think that the media is also beginning to catch this of the political elite, which is simply to abandon. We cannot change anything, let's just forget, let's ignore them. We cannot ignore the opaqueness of the selection, the recruitment process. If you want to recruit a manager for your company, you advertise it. You give the qualifications. Nigerian presidency and governorship and senatorial seats, members of the House, members of the Assembly are the only ones that are never advertised. You don't know the qualification they have to possess. It's not even secondary school certificate. That's no qualification. What character, what ideas, what insight? Look, we're talking of 13 million Nigerian youths on the street. I had, Father Kuka is gone, I had that culture shock when I appeared in Sokoto for the first time. I'd never seen anything like that, living in Lagos virtually all my life. But in Sokoto, I saw it real life, and I thought there was something wrong. But the people I was with didn't see anything amiss in what I was experiencing. I was shocked. But I couldn't ask any one of them. I had to learn. They put the crowd of young boys, over 300 following us walking. They put a bowl of food. In a matter of a minute, they were like flies. They finished the food, licked their hands, and walked away. Why will you not have armed robbers tomorrow? A leader, any leader in Nigeria, and says, how are we going to change this country? He says, in 15 years' time, this is my vision, years' time, we should have Nigeria as a supplier of quality manpower to the whole of Africa. You are still dealing with Amajiri kids. You set a vision that is almost impossible to meet. For you to do that, you are going to put money in primary education. You're going to put money in secondary education. You're going to put money in tertiary education. You're going to put money in the other social sectors, health, population. But nobody thinks like that in Nigeria. We're fighting corruption. We want to finish the project that we started. We're going to supply electricity. We're going to build road. Any joker can build road for you. It doesn't need to be a governor or president. Once he has money, he can find people to build road for you from anywhere in the world. What they cannot do for you is to tell you where your country should be in 15, 20, 30, 50 years' time. No leader that I know in this country has volunteered. They don't even recognize that. The only way we're going to change this is to begin to do this battle. June 12th, how did he get the business sector which you were part of to get involved? Because it started hitting their pocketbooks. We have to find how to make what the bad governance in this country to hit the pocketbook, the pocket of the rich people and the comfortable people. The day they cannot drive their good cars on the street of Lagos, the day they cannot hold all these outlandish weddings and parties all over this country, in a country that you say is poverty-stricken, you need to go to attend a party in this town on Saturday. And you know the center, and you don't think that there's anything wrong with this place. The day they go to receive all these awards that they're getting awards, they're condemning the people giving them the award in the hall, but they're there to receive the awards. The day we challenge all those, then we would have started making progress. And I think it's possible. And I think it can be done in a short time. In 2010, Abacha of all people set up Vision 2010. And this is where I stop. Telling you the vision can be effective. Pat was there. I think Prof was there. Femi was not there. I was there. One of the, and I'm taking the softest recommendation from the sports subgroup. They said in the year 2010, Nigeria will host the World Cup. Soccer. Nobody had a clue whether Soccer World Cup was going to come to Africa. But the report of Vision 2010 said, in 2010, The Soccer World Cup must hold in Africa, and Nigeria will host it and win it. In 2010, World Cup was actually held in Africa, but you went to South Africa because you didn't follow through on the vision. You put all the timeline, deliverables. They didn't want it because it turned out to be contrary to what the people who set up that committee wanted to have. If we keep running away from these people, they will keep getting away with murder. And we have to stay there. Part, stay there. Femi, go back there. Contest a second time, a third time. One day you're going to get there. When you get there, you may not make a massive change because they have a way. I know Kayode fire me. I know how Kayode used to sound also. But he's there. You know how difficult it can be when you get there. But you will make a change in one area. When you leave, they will not be able to change it anymore. Thank you very much.
So, staying on this theme of educating our people, we can reap a huge demographic dividend from this youth bulge, but we are managing it so badly. Why is it impossible to have a conversation on this matter in an election year? I've not seen any articulation of the problem of Nigeria's youth bulge, the possibilities that are positive of getting a demographic dividend from it, and the danger of the coming anarchy if we don't manage it well. Why are we not discussing on an election year? What can we do around that as a final word in making this democracy work for the people of Africa? Professor Eberong-Diwe.
Okay. Well, I think that the problem of our country, unlike what Femi said, is not only with the leadership. Glorifying the followership is easy, but part of our problem is bad followership. It is the followership that is paid and they accept money for stomach infrastructure. It is the followership that is packing up the stadium that you talk about. They recruit them and they go from one party stadium to another party stadium. It's the same followership that you want to go and meet. So I think that the big problem we have is a problem of leadership recruitment. It is an important problem that neither the PDP or APC pays any attention to. And we are made up of a population that is easy to be bought off and pays no mind to the excesses that Femi talked about. 96 billion naira. What fund was it?
ATM, the security vote.
Security vote. Everybody knows this has been going on, but who has done anything about it? Not the Bar Association, not any interest group. We are a country heavy on identifying problems, but very weak on doing anything about it. We are the followers, we that are not in government. So sitting around and blaming leadership is not enough. Blaming ourselves as the followers, those who are not in power, is a way of holistically treating our problem. Another problem that we have in our country is the emphasis on the source of wealth. Our dependence on government for wealth. Some of the people that have made the biggest monies in this country have something to do with government, or they are partners when they are in government outside. There is so much dependence on government, and that government depends on oil, which is a resource that is fast getting to be irrelevant. when compared to the modern source of money, which is the mind. The source of wealth today, somebody mentioned that with the Facebook founder, is the mind. The richest people in the world today did not make their money from oil fields. They made their money by figuring what people want and doing something about it. And this country is not paying attention to that because this country is one of the smallest spenders on education. It doesn't budget for education as much as is required by the United Nations. I listened to a talk recently where there was a great analysis of what Nigeria needs. That talk was given by Mr. Usman Bugaje in Abuja. And I have talked to him and tell him to try to publish that talk because it's really a clean analysis of what else this country. Everybody gives, for example, the great example of Rwanda. But what was the first problem that Rwanda solved? It started with a basic thing called unity. If you drive on the streets of one of its cities and you ask a taxi driver, where are you from? He will not tell you he is Yoruba. He will not tell you he is Tutsi. He will not tell you, what's the other one? Pardon?
Okay.
Yeah, Tutsi and Hutu, yes.
Hutus.
Yes, yeah. He would just, if you told him, if you asked him, as Usman said,
Yeah.
are you Tutsi or Hutu? He would say no. Rwanda. No, we have never reached that stage. So
Yeah.
if you are blaming democracy, you have to find out how you are practicing it. Just raising it up, rabble-rousing it, and saying it is not working is not enough. It's not enough. Why is it not working in this country? It is not working because nobody loves this country. This country is just a place where you make money. And the division is on the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah. Okay.
Nobody cares about the income differentials. Nobody cares about the gap between the rich and the poor.
Okay, Mary.
All they do is...
Thanks. Time is not our best friend. We have got to move very quickly to a close. I'll ask Toyosi to make a 1 minute flat contribution to this same question of a demographic dividend, the youth, and the role that young people play. They are becoming involved, and how that can make a difference very quickly. Then we'll take 3 quick questions, only 3 quick questions, one from each of these sides. And
Prof, you are not being democratic if I'm the youngest person on this panel, and you ask me to speak about young people in 1 minute and give others 5 minutes each. Do we agree? I'll take a few minutes and just quickly make my comments. The first thing I wanted to talk about is that the determination of the criminals in Nigeria is incredible. The energy and conviction of the average thief in Nigerian government is unmatched when you put a good person side by side him. They will go to jail, come back from jail, and continue their criminality. We, the good guys, get tired so easily. Mr. Femi Falana ran once and decided to retire. He says he took a risk. Some people ran severally, and we don't even know where we're going. We feel like they took power in 2005, and they're taking us to the next level of 2009, when we're going to 2019. Now, Professor, I'm going to speak directly to the young people in the room. INEC released, if you got my pun, you can laugh later when you get home. INEC released the results, the report on the number of registered voters in Nigeria a few days ago. And Business Day put it into a graph. The highest number of registered voters for 2019 election are Nigerian students, 22.3 million. far away, followed far away by people who are farmers and into fishing at about 11 million. And ASU has been on strike for 3 months. I don't know about you, but I think that poverty is a weapon of control in Nigeria. Such that the reason that the poor person is never going to be able to use his brain to think, that the poor person, the average Nigerian, will only watch industrialization in China, but never dream it for Nigeria. I feel like that's the country that we're growing in. And unfortunately, our generation have become the keyboard warriors and the Instagram generation that pontificate on the non-issues. And we forget that if you are not on the table, you are on the menu. That if you don't participate in the political process, you are going to be eaten up. Now, the leadership recruitment process in itself is fundamentally faulty, but what is even a bigger problem is the youth wing and the women wing of those political parties. The tokenism, that the only role that a young person must have in a political party that has hierarchy of about 15 people is just the youth leader. The youth leader himself being 57 years old, way above the life expectancy rate of Nigerians. Somebody who typically doesn't have much education and is not able to engage with your problems and your issues. People who fly first class with their families. And I want us to know that as a generation, there are people who are consistently benefiting from our misfortune. And we have a reason and a right to understand that democracy in itself is an inclusive society where every human being has value because every human being has a vote. And that in 2019 elections, we the people may not win because we didn't start early enough. I like to be realistic, but 2023, which is 4 years from now, presents a brilliant challenge. It hurt me because the smart young candidates who decided to run and form the third force woke up 6 months to election, wishful thinking, hoodwinking, disagreeing between each other, and the pact itself fell apart. When in fact, we should have started 4 years ago, decided to present a common front. There's no way they can run us out because the power in the people is greater than the people in the power. Now, I will close by saying 2 things. I believe there are practical ways out of this. The first practical way is, Professor, the glorification of ill-gotten wealth in this country has to come to an end.
That's to stop.
A country where we celebrate people who have money, but we don't know the root of their monies. Where the people who actually do the hard work do not get recognition as much as the people who have stolen money and are able to buy themselves awards, recognitions, and chieftaincy titles. We, the people, gather in those celebrations. That's why there's an audience before whom they receive awards. If they were receiving an award and you were booing in the crowd, they won't turn out for the award in the coming year. So you need to be able to reduce that glorification of ill-gotten wealth. Number 2 is that people like Mr. Femi Falana need to lead the advocacy of a nation of consequences. You talked about Mr. Taisho Lari resigning. Let me give you a more extreme example of the minister in Singapore who had connived with contractors to collect kickbacks from them. And Lee Kuan Yew had found out before he was even called to question, he committed suicide and left a note saying that he would rather die than face the consequences. We cannot be talking about democracy being, making the lives of our people better when our resources, when we are a technical aristocracy and an oligarchy, where our resources are concentrated in the hands of a few people who would rather even steal those ones that the generations after us are going to take. And so this election in 2019 is for the young people. ASU is on strike. You've got children, cousins, many of you are students in this crowd. 22.3 million voters. 10 days we have. But you know what to do with your PVCs. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks. Very good. I'll take a question from this side. Maybe Modestus, can you help me? Because I don't have the problem.
All right. There are 2 microphones. You can come to the aisles for your questions and contributions. Please, we're asking you that you keep them short, simple, and concise. Okay, we'll take it into the audience. Keep them short and simple. Please introduce yourself, your name, and let's go straight to the point. And if it's for a specific person or a panelist, please identify them.
My name is Francis Abioye. I am the founder and the president of African Initiative Against Corruption and Examination Malpractice. This will be the very first time I will be impressed with our son, the famous lawyer, Femi Falana. You have mentioned the strategies that is the needed tools to revolutionize this country. And the major challenge in Nigeria, not that we don't have the men that carries the light to lighten the darkness, but we are lighting the light wrongly. When you lighten the candle.
Please, a question, not a speech.
No,
very
not,
short,
not a speech, not a
yes,
speech, please.
Very short, yes.
We lighting our candle without minding the wind, blowing it and putting it off. When we lighten our light, we should cover it and safeguard it. So my contribution is, please, excuse me.
Okay, 30 seconds and we close, yes.
I'm making a contribution, not a question.
Conclude it, please.
My contribution is, I want to make a passionate appeal that all the civil society of Nigeria, like the Coalition of Civil Society Group of Nigeria, should have a framework that will not be pronounced. Get a gathering where all those strategies, because the wicked men that are killing this country work with strategies, and those strategies are not pronounced. Let us have a secret strategies that we are going to implement against the 2023.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. My question is, this program is a program that takes place every year. And you can see that from what we have seen here today, we have discussed Nigeria and we have discussed our problems and challenges. The question is, how can we use this platform to translate all these discussions into practical steps that will affect the leadership structure in Nigeria democratically in such a manner that by the time we come here next year, the issues that we are discussing today will not come back here to discuss it next year. That's my question.
All right, thank you. Please, let's not have anyone else come up for now. Let's finish this and find out if we have more time. All right.
My contribution is this. To Professor Pat Utomi and CVL, I wish to congratulate you for the past efforts in Nigeria. I came into contact with Utomi in 1977 when I was lecturing at Nsukka University. He was in my class, Mascom 351. He and his very close friend, late Semi Agwali, I prophesied could change this country. 40 years after my prophecy is coming true. I was in the US when I learned he was to run as a governor of Delta State. I almost booked my flight to return. But now, as the last speaker said, the next challenge I'm giving you is to set a challenge in the next 5 years that CVL will produce the core of leadership to revolutionize this country. Don't forget what Professor Ben Mwabeze said. At a public lecture, Mwabeze advocated the French model of 1789. J.J. Rawlings, in a lecture in Nigeria, also said, I will not tell you what to do in Nigeria, but I transform Ghana. Now, in 2019, 60 years away, Nigeria is underdeveloping. And in 34 years' time, will be the 6th richest, poorest country in the world. Therefore, CVL is here challenged to set a 5-year target that in the next 5 years, using your platform, with support from all over the world, Nigerians, you are going to produce the core of leaders who can change this country.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Benga Sadiq, a final year student in University of Ibadan. I will be a graduate, but for this strike. I would like to build my question on certain concessions I believe we have made from the panel. First is that democracy is the only system that can guarantee equal opportunity for everyone to greatness. and political stability. Second is that all systems are fallible, and the only thing that can guarantee stability is when certain dividends, like freedom of speech, education, health, infrastructure, access to finance, is given to all. Now, based on all this, my question is, what is the practical way out? And since every other person before me asked something similar, I would like to give a practical way out, and that is community organizing. Perhaps because I've read quite a lot about leaders before, I believe so much in the power of organizing, which is why I decided that once I was done with school, I would begin in Ikosike to my community to begin questioning local government chairman, councillors, and requesting the dividends of democracy from them. I believe that we can have this on a bigger scale, a larger scale.
I think it's a great idea, community organizing, but let me just say that we can't take more than 2 more, even though there's many people on the queue. Just the next 2, and we'll cut off 3 actually.
My name is Shola Ajiboye. My question is, actually it's not a question, it's a contribution. Calm down, calm down. There are 2 faces. There are 2 faces to this issue. We are solving one, which is democracy and politician. I've never seen a country that knows God so much but live in poverty. We have to address the issue of religion that is also affecting our politics. Thank you.
Good day, everybody. My name is Ola Omoju Busayo. I am from Obe College. I want to make a contribution to the topic, is democracy making life better in Africa? But we all know what is democracy, but as I like how it is being written on that board, as in Africa.
Students, yes.
I like how it's being written on that thing, like, is democracy making life better in Africa? Democracy is a good system of government, but it is not better for Africa. I know you believe in me, you agree with me like that. Democracy, there are different characteristics of democracy. We have independence of the judiciary. There is nothing like that in Nigeria. We have equality. We should not evolve in equality. What should we evolve in is equity. As in, for example, if I want to see something here, I am short, I am somebody that is not like this man wants to see something, you should not give us the same thing. You should give us something bigger than what he has that I can see. That is equity. But something like that does not happen in Nigeria. So why are we saying democracy has made life better in Africa? So with this, what I have said, I think we should all know that.
One house, please. One house.
Thank you very much.
I was going to make that the very last, but 2 more of the students only. The students, because it's part of equity. 2 more of the students.
Good day, everyone. My name is Tochi. Democracy is based on equality of citizens. That's freedom to choose, freedom to associate with one another, to defend each other's interests, and freedom to choose between different political platforms and candidates of our choice. Like, democracy is meant to bring a qualitative change in all spheres of life, like in our political, social, and economic life. But I'm just living here with the word. Like, we shouldn't think democracy is just for the government alone. That we, as the masses, we add in democracy also. Like, we should strive to make our country a better place. That I believe that in 10 days' time, the problem we're talking about now, we'll not talk about it again. Like,
thank you very much.
It's going to be the end of our problem.
That's it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
No more. Thank you all. Please, thank you. Please, I'd like any of the panelists who would like to respond. 1 minute. Any would like to go? Yes.
Well, I agree that some of us will have to go back to the barricades. But we cannot afford to wait till 2023. That would be too long. And you'll be working by the timetable of the bourgeoisie. Once the elections are over, we must start to mobilize people to demand for the betterment of their lives. And what do I mean? Let's start. I'm challenging my friend here. There are certain solutions that are on ground. One, education. There is a program called Universal Basic Education, UBE. Every Nigerian child, by law, shall be in school at the expense of the government from primary school to junior secondary school, first 9 years. Whether you are poor or rich, there is a fund for it. 2% of the consolidated revenue fund of the federal government will be set aside. State government will make catapult funding to access the money. But since that agency was created in 2005, no state government in Nigeria has accessed the money up to date. God can take care of the children of the poor. We, the elite, are sending our children to schools at home and abroad. Now we're in trouble. The children of the rich, of the poor, have become kidnappers and robbers and bandits. Therefore, in ensuring that those children are educated, are picked up from the schools, from the street, and enrolled in school, we are also helping our own children and ourselves. So, what has happened with this fund? As of last year, 71.2 billion was not accessed by all the state government. What did you do? We suggested to the federal government, since you are giving them bailout, the bulk of which will end in some pockets, take the counterpart fund from me. So federal government has done that. And I have also pleaded with them, don't release the money now because elections are around the corner. But once the elections are over, all of us, perhaps led by my friend here, we must march to UBE, state by state. What are you releasing? How do we monitor the fund so that the children of the poor can be taken off the street? Second one, you don't want people to be poor, to be corrupt. It's only in Nigeria where a government is talking of corruption. No, it's not by verbalizing. Through, if people are dying, queuing up for, you are simply telling those who are in the service, take care of the rainy day. What we therefore do? Today, there is about 8.4 trillion naira in the pension account. 8.4. What do we do after this program? Don't wait till 2023. Let us now sit down with all those pension administrators. How do you pay people? You know those who are retiring next year. When are we paying them their gratuity? And so concretely, democracy, you know, the most advanced countries in the world today, some of the countries that are addressing problems are not democratic countries, so don't deceive yourself. Do you understand what I'm saying? UAE, United Arab Emirates, is ruled by emirs. Do you understand me? General Gowon is here. The best roads, all those flyovers in Lagos, were constructed by him, a military dictator. Mm-hmm. So democracy is actually not about, oh, we want to go and commission borehole. When we're growing up, we had tap water on the streets. Now it's borehole. Let me end by saying, democracy is said to be the government of the people, for the people. But in Nigeria, it's not yet by the people. So after this program, after the election, let us go out there and mobilize the people to challenge the people in power. Pat, this is the last one. When you and I were traveling to Abuja until a few years ago, how you will know that a governor was on board?
Yes.
The announcer will say, good morning, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Then you ask, who is the governor there? Today, in the last 5 years, I have never met a governor on board.
Yes.
They all charter private jets now to attend meetings in Abuja.
Yeah.
Since Trump came on board, Obama was there for 8 years. When did you ever hear that governors are meeting in Washington? No. It's anathema in a democracy, in a federal system. So let's get these governors to stop wasting our money. All of them. they ride private jets. One of them, who asked people after 60 years in the Southwest, the one in my state, he just left. He decided to impose fees on primary school children after 60 years of free education. He's just been discovered now. They spent about 10 billion naira 4 years on chartering private jets. So these are the problems of the elite. For our friends from Liberia, you are welcome. Please, so much is expected from Nigeria. If we get it right in Nigeria, it will circulate around Africa. But because we are not serious, other smaller countries like Botswana, Rwanda are reorganizing their people. So let us try, after this election, to organize our people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is perhaps the appropriate point to make, still talking education. There is an association called the Association for Formidable Education Development. This is an association of owners of private schools in blighted areas, the so-called slum areas. They are responsible for the bulk of education in our country today. Private schools in slum areas. Now, an Englishman, not a Nigerian, a professor called James Tully, has been looking at the work that they are doing to find ways that this can be energized. A DFID study shows that if Lagos State is to provide appropriate schooling for those slum areas, it would need to increase its annual budget by 400 billion, which it does not have. And a tablet was introduced into some of those slum areas, tested in some places to see its impact on learning, monitored from London, where the company has headquarters, and Nigeria has jumped to #1 in the world from Lagos slums. Learning has gone up by, incredible percentages. And we're just looking for some rich men to donate 2,000-3,000, and we've been telling stories everywhere to find. This kind of fund should be put into this, and instead of government going to harass them, close down the school, giving them a way of doing better work to give opportunities to the children of the poor across the board. I think we'll close there. There's no point in going round and round, but our work is cut out for us. If this country is going to be saved, we've got to educate our people, and all of us here have a job to do there. I want to thank you all so much for allowing this panel, and MC, please take it over.
Please, one more time, a round of applause for the panel. I know it was a very engaging session. I will ask them to please remain seated. Can I have the chairperson of the Board of Directors for the CVL, as well as His Excellency General Yakubu Gowon, as well as Honorable Eugene Nagwe, please come up. Dr. Joyce, please come up as well. We have a cake to cut, so we'd like to do that with them and have the panelists also join you. Your Excellency, sir. We will be wrapping up in just a matter of minutes, so you've had absolutely, and we definitely appreciate that. We do have 2 presentations, 4